Hey, good afternoon, everyone. My name is David Wicks. I'm Vice President of Listings here at Nasdaq, and thank you for joining us for another episode of Behind the Bell. For those of you who don't know, we have a very special guest that came all the way from the West Coast. David Motizetti, CEO of Evolus. Welcome, David. We're going to be ringing the bell in just under an hour here.
Yeah, it's great to be
here. Are you excited?
We have 20 of our top local customers that are equally as excited as the team is locally that's here. So thanks for having us.
It's our pleasure. So a lot going on at the company. You just launched your first product.
That's right.
Can you talk to us about the initial results?
Yeah, so we just reported earnings on Monday, and this was a significant deal for the company. This was our first quarter that we reported earnings and had revenue. And this quarter, especially, the street didn't have expectations for meaningful revenue because what we had announced on May 15th when we launched our first product in the market called Jeuveau, on that date we announced the largest experience program to hit the aesthetic market. So the market itself got a chance to trial product, and we had a target of getting to 3,000 accounts. We announced on Monday we exceeded that target.
That's
we got
awesome.
to 5,000 accounts in less than 90 days today across the U.S.
Wow.
Have Jeuveau that they're offering their patients. Now, what was more meaningful that the street didn't expect is that in addition to this JET program, which offered the trial product to the accounts, there was still a significant amount of revenue orders from accounts that had rapidly completed this JET program. And that's where the majority of our revenue came in the first quarter. So very strong start for the team. I'm really pleased with the early outcome.
And for those of you, can you talk a little bit about Jeuveau? And it's different than, I guess, its competitor Botox, correct?
That's right. So this company was started 6 years ago and is designed from the outset to compete against the market leader, which you just named.
Yeah.
So the company started with a partnership with a company named Daewoo based in Korea, one of the largest pharmaceutical companies, created a brand new state-of-the-art manufacturing facility using the similar molecule to what the market leader currently uses, but with a new manufacturing process. We then put that manufacturing process to the test, and we conducted the largest phase 3 head-to-head study against the market leader to show how well Jeuveau performs. That data was just published in the second quarter in the Aesthetic Surgery Journal, which is a major journal in the aesthetic space.
Sure.
So the combination of the science and the clinical data, which includes that head-to-head data, really made a difference as it relates to how doctors viewed this brand relative to any other product that's entered. And so we're really excited about the early uptake, and we believe that data, of course, is the foundation to everything that we've done.
Yeah, so you mentioned earlier you book revenues for the first quarter. Have you given any guidance what you're looking now for the rest of the year?
Yeah. We haven't provided guidance, but we have taken the position that we believe we can achieve the number 2 market position in this category within 24 months. And that's a meaningful stake in the ground.
Absolutely.
And the reason I say that is the neurotoxin market that we're entering is the largest market in medical aesthetics. In the US alone, it's a $1.2 billion category. Achieving the number 2 position within 24 months will create a significant amount of shareholder value and will obviously put us in a very strong position in this category.
And Evolus is a relatively small company when you compare it to its competitors. So how are you able to scale so quickly?
Yeah, so what differentiates us, not just the product that we just talked about, but we spent time over the last year prior to the launch designing the way the company would operate in a new modern environment. We went to the Bay Area and we recruited the top talent on the technology side to help us build a technology platform that would power every aspect of our company. Just to give you an example, when a doctor does business with Evolus, they download an app. Through that app, they can participate in the JET program, they can purchase product, they can text our customer service team, they can even ask our medical affairs team questions. We had over 5,000 chats with customers just in that second quarter when we launched. And what's also amazing is 90% of our orders went through our digital application. Doctors aren't calling a customer service line to place orders, they're doing it directly there. That is what enabled us to scale.
That's amazing.
And operate against a competitive set that's been well entrenched for well over a decade. And that was the meaningful difference that you started to see early on that drove us to 5,000 accounts.
And have you gotten any feedback from the doctors that are using the technology and the platform?
Yeah, so that's the beauty of the platform.
Because you get it real time, right?
So we're asking doctors for their satisfaction with the product, but we're also doing it through the JET program. We're asking consumers for it. So I'll start with the patient, because the patient ultimately drives the doctor's satisfaction.
Sure.
We had over 23,000 patient surveys that were completed in the first 90 days. And what was interesting is a quarter of the patients that were treated with Jeuveau, they were new to neurotoxins. They'd never tried a neurotoxin in the past. That speaks to the health of this market and our ability to drive new patients into the category. That's important for these doctors in this space. 3/4 of the patients were on an existing neurotoxin and switched to Jeuveau. Because one of the key questions that the street had early on is, would doctors be willing to switch their patients from an existing neurotoxin to Jeuveau? And that 20,000 plus patient database reflects that they would, and the satisfaction results from both the patient as well as the doctor trending well above 80%, which reflects a really healthy market and a product that's delivering in the way that we showed in the head-to-head studies.
That's awesome. Well, you're off to a great start. So can you talk a little bit about what you're making of the Allergan AbbVie deal, and how do you think this is going to impact the launch or your launch?
Yeah, look, I spent 14 years of my career at Allergan. I have the utmost respect for the company, and I view this space as a high growth market. So I can't speak to a deal that'll close in first quarter of 2020. I can say, however, this is a really healthy market. Clearly, AbbVie had a lot of interest in the Allergan company because of the medical aesthetics franchise. The reason is only 1 out of 10 patients are in the office today that want to get treated. 90% of consumers are debating going in the next 2 years. There's a lot of opportunity for growth. And the more competition that invests to help build this market, the faster this category will grow. And that was evidenced by the 25% of patients that were new to neurotoxin that we saw in the first quarter. So this is a real opportunity to help grow the market, and we're happy to play a role in doing that. And of course, we'll see how the market unfolds.
David, as you kind of look out, what's next for Evolus?
So we have a number of catalysts. We have Canada that's expected to launch later this year. We got approval in Canada recently, and we'll introduce our product there in the market with our partner Clarion. And then we have an approval pending in Europe, where we expect to receive that approval by year end. And if we do, then you could expect some announcements related to that as well. In addition, of course, we're just in the early stages of the US launch. Significant category. We have a large customer base. That customer base is still working through this JET program. The question is, how sticky will those doctors be once they trial the product? The early indicators from Q2 shows that the majority of our revenue comes from accounts that complete JET. We'll look for that trend to continue to play out and watch this product continue to work through the market and execute. Longer term, we have aspirations to build out a portfolio in aesthetics. The reason I joined the company is because you start a company in the largest category in the space, and from there you continue to acquire differentiated assets like we currently have in the toxin space in other categories, and we'll look to do that in a thoughtful way. But at the same time, we love our singularity and focus. We're the only competitor in the space that has a single product with a single program, and our team, 80% of our sales force had aesthetic experience before they joined the company.
Which is huge.
The entire leadership team has experience in aesthetics. We are very customer centric, and we're dedicated to this market. We believe that has strategic value, and you see the early results of us piercing through the market quickly. I believe being customer centric is a central part of that, in addition to the technology platform and the product. It all matters.
And I love that you're using that technology to accelerate that scalability, which is, I think, a home run for you guys. So congratulations.
Thank you.
David, you ready to take the Evolus hat off, and we're gonna let our audience know some things about you?
Let's do it.
I promise, nothing gonna get us in trouble. I assume you have an iPhone or Android?
I have an iPhone.
What's your favorite app?
Good question. I do like Zillow. I travel a lot,
Okay.
and I'm always just curious about real estate and the different real estate price points given the different parts of the world you're in. And so I'm just curious in that way. And it's funny because I have 3 kids, and my middle son is a Zillow addict as well.
So you've rubbed off?
I have, and he's only 10 years old. So it's really fun to thumb through it.
That's awesome. When you're not working, where can we find you?
So I love to be in the gym. So I'm in the gym and I like to run. It's my escape if I can just get an hour to myself. But my favorite part of it, at the end of the workout, where I live locally, I like to get in the steam room. That is like my escape. If I can get 5 minutes there at the end of a workout, that's sort of like the prize for having done the
Nice. And David, when you think back on your career, is there any advice that anyone has given you, or some advice that has really kind of stuck true to you through your career that you could share with our audience?
Yeah, look at your relationships as something that are most important as you build your career. And that's both internally in an organization as well as customers or any interactions that you have. In the end, one thing that I value is that I've built relationships over time. You do things the right way, and there's a building effect that takes time. But as it builds, that trust level becomes a foundation by which, when you launch a company like we've launched, there are many doctors, thousands of them, that have put their trust in us because they believe in our ability to do things and to execute and bring great products to the market. And trust is the foundation to everything that we do. And so that would be my one recommendation. There's plenty of opportunities to cut corners.
Sure.
And I'm sure you've had those in your career, but patience, doing things the right way, and then continuing to deliver and execute. In the end, that is the secret recipe. It's just a lot of hard work, and it takes time, and eventually get there.
Not easy.
No.
There's no shortcut.
That's for sure.
But David, thank you so much. For those of you joining us, thank you again for joining us for another episode of Behind the Bell. David will be closing the market in just about 35 minutes, so make sure you tune in. Again, David Wicks,